Hello friends, myself Dr. Nidhi Darbari on My Education Treasure. Today in my present video, I am going to discuss the storytelling, a teaching device, its factors, precautions and educational significance. The most psychological method of teaching young children is to tell stories to them. Stories are definitely useful in the teaching of such subjects as history, civics, etc., and are known to be so, but they prove even more useful in the teaching of morals and religion. Storytelling is a very good device of teaching in the hands of a successful teacher. Some teachers are very fond of telling stories to the students. In fact, storytelling is nothing but narration of some events spread over a given period of time. This device makes teaching very interesting for the student. Storytelling is an art which aims at presenting to the students through the medium of story clear, vivid, interesting, ordered sequence of events. In this method, the children in the primary classes are told stories or anecdotes by the teacher about the great men or women like famous rulers, social reformers, prophets, writers, saints, artists, scientists, discoverers, stories of script, number, trade and money, etc., in order to develop the qualities of truth, honesty, perseverance, courage, cooperation, humbleness, or creativity in them. Their minds should be able to reconstruct these happenings. These stories and anecdotes are directly or indirectly related to the lesson. Various types of stories as myths, legends, moral fables, and true historical tales can be used for lending color to personalities and events. The type of stories and the manner of their narration will vary with the age of the children. Teacher colors the story by his tact and communication skill and presents it before the students in such a manner that students are completely absorbed in the story for the time being. They are so absorbed in the story that they consider themselves an important part of the story by identifying any of its characters. What type of stories should be told to the students in the class depends on the mental age and chronological age and interest of students and the nature of the lesson. They should be able to live in imagination through the experience recounted, either as spectators or possibly as participators. As an actor, the teacher can make the lesson very lively and interesting to the students who can visualize the events and personalities described. Meaning of storytelling. Storytelling means to recite or to tell a story. Through storytelling, the complicated and minute details of a subject are made so easy that all the pupils understand it very easily. Psychologically, young students don't have so much mental development that they can acquire minute and complex ideas very easily. But as they show natural interest in listening to a story, therefore they grasp very easily the knowledge presented in the form of a story. It means to say that through a story, the imaginative and reasoning power of the students are developed in such a way by awakening their interest and aspirations in a recreational way that their morals and social qualities get developed. Also, they assimilate very easily the knowledge of any subject. In short, students acquire knowledge in the form of a story with great interest. It is to be noticed that storytelling technique is generally used in the lower classes, but this technique can be used successfully in the higher classes, as this technique is used for the teaching of science, language and especially social subject in the lower classes, but in higher classes this technique can be used for teaching successfully subjects like history, civics, economics and commerce. Hence, almost all the subject of the curriculum can be taught successfully. Factors in successful storytelling. In order to take advantage of the technique of storytelling, it is essential to present it psychologically, and in any case, storytelling is an art which can be acquired through practice. The most important factor in successful storytelling are: firstly, identification with the story. The more the teacher can forget himself in telling the story, the better it will be. But this is possible only when he himself finds the story interesting. For this reason, it is advisable that the educator should tell only those stories which first interest him. Sufficient knowledge. Secondly, only that story can be powerful and impressive which the educator remembers in all its detail. But the story must be told in the educator's own words. It should never be read out, because this is the surest way of boring the audience. Dramatic presentation. In presenting the story, the educator should enact the various expressions and emotions described in the story and carry out the actions and gestures which are part of it. This creates a concrete picture in the child's mind and helps him to remember the story. Adequate language. The language used in telling the story should be simple and with the comprehension of the audience. Interesting style. The style of storytelling should be natural, lifelike, interesting, and varied. Systematic presentation. A systematic presentation and proper ordering of sequences is absolutely essential. If the educator forgets some part and returns to it later on after having described some future event, the students are likely to lose the thread and become irritated. Hence, the teacher must remember the sequences of events very clearly. Confirming to the mental level. Different kinds of stories interest children of different ages. Very young children are usually interested in stories of magic and adventures which are inspiring. Adolescents find such stories disgusting. But in all such stories, action should be the main element, although the stories are to be selected according to the age group of the audience. Purposeful. In telling the story, the teacher must always keep in mind its purpose. If this is not done, then the purpose will remain unfulfilled. Necessary atmosphere. In order to tell the story, it is necessary to have a calm and peaceful atmosphere. From the psychological point of view, the right environment for storytelling is one of curiosity and expectation. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to the video to motivate me, share it with others, and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Apart from these suggestions which should be kept in mind, one should consult books on psychology in order to learn the art of storytelling. The teacher must critically analyze his own style, language, acting, etc. in order to eliminate the errors he finds. Precautions in using storytelling technique. The following precaution should be taken in using this technique. The language of this technique should be simple, easy, interesting, and effective. The style of storytelling should be clear and attractive. The climate of classroom should be calm and quiet. The actors of the story should be close to learner's situation. The theme of the story should be according to the mental level, interest, and emotional stage of the children. The story should be means to serve the purpose of teaching, not the end. The main objective of storytelling techniques are to develop imagination, curiosity, and interest among the students. The storytelling technique should always be used orally. The reading should not be done. A storytelling is an art. Every teacher cannot use it effectively. This skill is to be developed through micro-teaching or simulated social skill training. At the end of the story, some relevant questions should be asked to ascertain whether students could compress the theme of the story. The storytelling is a teaching skill, teaching technique, and teaching method. Therefore, a teacher should be aware of this fact whether he is using as a technique or a method of teaching. Educational significance. It helps in developing the imaginative and reasoning power of the students. It presents content according to the psychological needs of the pupils, so content learned by them becomes effective and fruitful for them. It helps the teacher for making the difficult and abstract concepts and ideas of their content clear and meaningful to the students. It helps the students to learn how to face different types of problems and solve them through their initiative and self-effort. It is used for all type of learners because each student like the storytelling method. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe.